You've been told your whole life that IQ is the ultimate measure of how smart you are. But here's the thing, some of the most successful, creative, and brilliant people in history had average or even below average IQ scores. So either the test is broken or we've been completely wrong about what intelligence actually is. Welcome to Tiny But Wise, where we take the small things you ignore every day and reveal the big truths hiding inside them. Today, we're cracking open one of the most misunderstood concepts in modern science, the IQ test. And trust me, by the end of this video, you're going to see it very differently. But before we dive in, I want you to sit with a few questions. Have you ever felt smart in one area of life, but totally lost in another? Have you ever met someone with a college degree who couldn't figure out basic common sense? Or maybe someone who never finished school, but could build a business, read a room, or fix anything with their hands? If you answered yes to any of those, you already know something is off with how we measure intelligence. Let's figure out what. Let's go back to the early 1900s. A French psychologist named Alfred Binet had a problem. The French government asked him to figure out which kids in school needed extra help. Not which kids were smart or dumb, just which ones needed support. So Binet created a simple test. It measured a child's ability to do specific school-related tasks, like memory, attention, and problem-solving with words and numbers. That was it. That was the original IQ test, a tool designed for one very narrow purpose. Here's where things went sideways. American psychologists got hold of Binet's test, expanded it, and started using it for something it was never designed to do. They started using it to rank people, to decide who was fit for the military, who was worth educating, and, in some deeply troubling chapters of history, even who should be allowed to have children. The test had jumped from who needs extra school support to how much human value does this person have. That's a massive leap, and a dangerous one. So what does an IQ test actually measure? When you strip it all down, IQ tests are very good at measuring a specific kind of thinking. It's called fluid reasoning, the ability to spot patterns, solve abstract puzzles, and process certain types of logical problems quickly. They also test working memory, which is basically your brain's short-term storage, and processing speed, meaning how fast you can crunch information. These are real cognitive skills. They're not fake. But here's the catch, they're only a small slice of what the human brain can actually do. Think about it this way. Imagine judging a whole orchestra just by listening to the violin section. The violins might sound incredible, but you're completely missing the drums, the brass, the piano, and everything else that makes the music whole. That's what IQ tests are doing to your brain. They're scoring the violin and calling it the whole concert. Now here's where it gets really interesting. In 1983, a Harvard psychologist named Howard Gardner proposed something radical. He said intelligence isn't one thing. It's multiple things. He called it the theory of multiple intelligences. Gardner argued that humans have at least 8 different types of intelligence: linguistic, logical mathematical, spatial, musical, bodily kinesthetic, interpersonal, intrapersonal, and naturalistic. A traditional IQ test only really touches 2 of those. Maybe 3 on a good day. Think about LeBron James. The man can read a basketball court in real time, predict where 5 moving players are going, and make a split-second decision with his body that most humans couldn't replicate in slow motion. Is that not intelligence? Think about a master chef who can taste a dish and instantly know which spices are missing, in what proportions, and how to fix it. Or a therapist who can sit with a grieving person and say exactly the right words at exactly the right moment. IQ tests would give you 0 credit for any of that. And here's something that might really shake you. Research has consistently shown that IQ scores are heavily influenced by things that have nothing to do with raw brain power. Things like how much sleep you got the night before the test. Whether you grew up in a home with books and educational toys. Whether you've been exposed to the kind of standardized test taking that these tests require. Whether English is your first language. Whether you were anxious or calm when you sat down to take it. A kid who grew up with no access to education, living in poverty, dealing with trauma, that kid might have an extraordinary mind. But put them in front of an IQ test cold, and the score won't show you that. This is where the myth starts to crack wide open. IQ tests were built mostly by Western-educated researchers using Western-educated frameworks. The problems on those tests, the logic they reward, the speed they demand, all of that reflects a very specific cultural idea of what thinking looks like. In some indigenous cultures, wisdom is measured by how long you think before speaking, not how fast you answer. In many collectivist societies, intelligence includes emotional attunement, community awareness, and long-term cooperative thinking. An IQ test wasn't built for any of that. So when someone from a different background scores lower, the test isn't revealing that they're less intelligent. It's revealing that the test was never built for them. Now here's the twist that almost nobody talks about. Even if IQ does measure something real and consistent, and in certain narrow ways it does, it still doesn't predict what most of us actually care about. It doesn't reliably predict happiness. It doesn't predict relationship success. It doesn't predict creativity. Studies have shown that beyond a certain threshold, around an IQ of 120, higher scores don't correlate with more success in life. What starts to matter more? Emotional intelligence, grit, curiosity, the ability to handle failure and keep moving. None of those show up on an IQ test. Psychologist Angela Duckworth spent years studying high achievers, West Point cadets, National Spelling Bee champions, rookie teachers in tough schools. And over again, the quality that predicted success wasn't IQ. It was grit. The combination of passion and perseverance over the long haul. A person with average intelligence and incredible grit will almost always outlast and outperform a brilliant person who gives up when things get hard. So here is the most powerful insight of this whole video. IQ tests don't measure intelligence. They measure a specific kind of test performance, shaped by education, environment, culture, and circumstance, and then we slap a number on it and call it your worth as a thinker. That number gets used to track kids in school, screen job applicants, and quietly send messages to people about whether they belong in certain rooms. And for a lot of people, that number has caused real damage. It's made smart, capable, wildly creative people believe they weren't good enough, when the truth is, the test just wasn't big enough to hold them. Your brain is doing things right now that no IQ test will ever capture. The way you read people, the way you solve problems in your own life, the creativity you bring to the things you love, the way you navigate difficult conversations, build trust, make something from nothing. Intelligence is not a number. It never was. It's a living, breathing, endlessly complex network of abilities, and you have more of them than any test will ever show you. So the next time someone quotes an IQ score, yours, someone else's, a famous person's, remember what you know now. That number is measuring the violin. The rest of the orchestra is still playing, and it's magnificent. If you found this video valuable and learned something new, do us a favor, like subscribe to Tiny But Wise and share it with your loved ones. Now your turn. Drop a comment with the next topic. We read every comment, and the best suggestion gets a shout out. See you there.